that Moshe Rabbeinu had, that at the end of his lifetime he reached this height. And I explained that everybody, the time of Avraham Avinu, there were no Jewish people. So the Ava of Avraham Avinu was basically Mahu Afator. He recognized the HaKadosh Baruch Hu of the Mahu Afator, the Rachmanos Hashem, and the mercy and the Chesed Hashem, and he emulated it as best as any human being could. And if every human being is an image of Hashem, that Tzalam Elokim, it means it's the creations of Hashem. If you love Hashem, you see how Hashem does His work. So therefore, you'll do Chesed to all the brios. And his Talmud was ready to go. Talmud Neman went out to try to help out Stone. Didn't work. After 24 years, it didn't work. But that was the basic concept. When Klal Yisrael came into existence at Har Sinai, we explained the Beis Halevi many times. So there's a new Mahus called Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is a entity in itself. It has nothing to do with individuals. If you are a tzaddik or a rasha, Klal Yisrael is a totality of the Jewish people. Not you have like 20 people in a bus. So if one person goes out, so you're missing out in the group. 10 people go out, you have less. No, Klal Yisrael is a unit, and those individuals in the unit, whoever belongs to the unit, gives to the unit and gets from the unit. Even though the person may be a rasha, he still has the qualities called Klal Yisrael. It has the qualities called Klal Yisrael. Therefore, pardon me? Like a company. And therefore, since Moshe Rabbeinu loved Hashem, he said Nikmas Hashem, and Hashem said Nikmas Am Yisrael. So since Moshe Rabbeinu holds Mahus was to do the Ratzon Hashem, and since the Ratzon Hashem loves every human being, it says in the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, every human being, you have to love every human being that's created by Hashem. But there's an added love, another quantum leap in love, another quality, another essence, unit called Hashem loves Klal Yisrael. Because there's Bonim, the Avodim, they accepted the Torah in Har Sinai, the relationship they have, which makes the quantum or the qualities that is a thing called Klal Yisrael, Tzibur, and therefore, since Hashem has a special relationship to Klal Yisrael, therefore Avas Yisrael means that not only because he's a human being, not only because he's an image of God, it's because you have to add, besides the justice and care you have for every human being, there's an added quality called Avas Yisrael. We explained that in order to get Avas Yisrael, that many people, there's 4 parts. There's Avas Eretz Yisrael. There's Eretz Yisrael, there's Torah, there is Yisrael and Hashem. And many different people we see in the spectrum, especially in Eretz Yisrael, picked one of the 4, which is either Avas Eretz Yisrael, we have Avas Torah, have Avas, focus on Torah, focus on Yisrael, you focus on Hashem, and each group it is. But in order to have Avas Yisrael, really, that's definitely a mistake those people do. But in order to have Avas Yisrael, there is a problem. We explained the problem that since Ava usually is self-fulfilling and based on the person's own personal feelings, so therefore, like we said, chesed l'umim chatas, that the chesed of the world is chatas, because when they do the chesed at the end, it's only for themselves. for their own benefit, for their need. They feel good, they like it, it develops their personality, their growth, their happiness, their interests, whatever it may be. And also, you can have interesting groups. Since I come from this country, I like to help these type of people, and I like to enjoy these type of people, and those type of people. So basically, it's his own group that he has, which is also chatas, because I do the group because it's self-protection of oneself, or a feeling to oneself, whatever may be his own criteria why he's doing what he's doing, and therefore it's chesed and chatas. The way that Klal Yisrael does it is, since we're emulating Hashem, and we're following out the love of Hashem, so therefore since he loves Klal Yisrael, so we have to love him. The problem is, since love itself is a internal feeling of what it is, so in order to purify oneself, as it says, that Barasi Yetzahara, Barasi Torah Tavlu, so in order to remove the ego, the I in Avas Yisrael, because since we're in the same unit of Avas Yisrael, and we explained that one of the first nisyonos of Avram Avinu was that Hashem told him, I'll give you all these wonderful brachas, you leave Lecha Me'artzi, you'll get this bracha and that bracha and this bracha. So the nisayon of Avram Avinu was, according to Gedolei Musa, is that he had to purify it, that although it is mixed up feelings of his own personal self, when he did the act of leaving his parents and etc., he didn't do it for the reward. Even though the reward was there, he was able to separate those feelings and only do it purely only for Hashem. So therefore, the only way in which a person can really have Avos Yisrael is when you have Avos Torah and you learn the Torah and you purify yourself with the Torah. Then and only then you can really have Avos Yisrael as focus. And this is what I said on Friday. We explained this. A lot of these points I talked about. Today I want to talk about an aspect in this story. The aspect of the story is Moshe Rabbeinu. What was the choice that Moses, that was I talked on Friday, those that heard me, those that come, those that don't come. But this is what they done. Today I want to talk about the decision of Moshe Rabbeinu. I want to talk about what did the Almighty actually say to Moshe Rabbeinu and what happened here. He gave Moshe Rabbeinu really a test. At the end of his lifetime, after 140 years, 80 years, he became the leader. 120 is leaving the world, and now he has to get his unfinished business together, and he gets his act together. And the question, what was his act that he has to do? So he already made Yoshua to follow, and he pleads with Hashem, please let me come into Eretz Yisrael, and he'd be an animal, blah, blah, all these things, and which he had the zest and the passion to live, or he had the choice, either to extend the time, because the Chazal Torah said that if you will, once you destroy Midian, then you will die. So he had this choice, extending Midian or die. Should he extend Midian and die, or should he extend his life, because Klal Yisrael needs him, and push away the destruction of Midian. So he had this choice. I want to explain that choice a little bit. I explained the choice on Friday, but I want to explain it a little differently now, a little more detailed. Not differently, more detailed. And Yoshua, who saw it, Rabbi criticized Moshe that he should have extended his life and not do Midian. And therefore, when Yoshua himself did his own act, which was also told that he should, what his function was to clean up the act of the Canaanites and the Amim in Eretz Yisrael, and to divide the land. So he never really delayed the killing. At the end, he divided the land to the tribes. He already left the world. So he was punished. He lost 10 years. In other words, there was a definitely valid point, which is students who loved Moshe, who followed Moshe as a student, said, Rabbi, he did wrong, and I'm going to do what he should have done. Because Moshe Rabbeinu was too selfless. Look what happened to Klal Yisrael, etc. And we explained the difference. The one that Moshe Rabbeinu had bitochen, and he didn't know why he did what was in front of him, and he knew the rest. And Yoshua thought that Tzadi was part of the. Took his job as leadership a little too much, and he decided that he should. He is needed in order to have. He's not indispensable, and the world would collapse without him, etc. Whatever it would be. Now, we're talking about the decision-making of Moshe. What is I'm talking about today? In order to understand the problem of decision-making of Moshe Rabbeinu, we have to say that at this point, since it was a test, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu had to show his internal being, who he is and what he is, which is identity, who he was, so that Hashem had to make, for him, normally when we have the Torah was an aspaklaria me'ira, was a very clear aspaklaria, as we'll explain in a minute. And now he made it aspaklaria lo me'ira. It wasn't too exactly clear. In order to have them have the right test. I want to explain this situation. I want to explain it the following way. Hashem created the Bria, the world, and the world is a physical world and has its own rules. It has its own rules. It has its own rules. And has its own rules. And as its own rules, it has its own function in the Torah, and the explains basically how a person is supposed to deal in the world, which is halacha. And halacha is built upon and exactly how in this world what to do. It's not shayach. It's I heard from Chaim Zimman, he wrote in his book. It's not shayach. He brings the case of tshuva. It's not shayach tshuva based in this world. It's not a concept of the world. But somebody does something wrong, so we have a bezdin and the rules in the Gemara, and we kill the guy. We give him lashes. Oh, I'm sorry, I did it. I didn't mean so. Blah blah blah. All these stories. I had good intentions. It's an avera lishmua, whatever it may be. The bezdin takes him out, whips him. He has averas, essays, lois essays. So he's finished. And when they ask the Nevi'im, they ask the Chachamim, they ask what can they do? A person does something wrong, what should they do? And they couldn't answer. They answered only in terms of this world. He's going to get punished, he's finished. They asked the Torah, it's a korban. They couldn't answer it in terms of tshuva. So this Rabbi Zimman learned that, maybe learned from many other places too, there's the Bria, the creation of the world. Brother, don't sleep on it. There's the creation of the world, the Bria. And then there is purpose. Purpose has to do with the Borei, the Almighty. Purpose has to do with the Almighty. Now, the world already is created and it has a physical reality of what it is. We have the halacha, we have... And a Novi, by the way, can only tell you, should you go to war, not you cannot change the rules of the Torah. Impossible. Whatever the Torah says, that's what it is. That's the Bria. Now, and there's the Borei. But in order to understand the Borei, we have Agadata. We have other ways. We have the Kabbalah. They want to understand, but they don't understand the Borei because nobody can understand the Borei because the Almighty is infinite and we're finite. What we can understand is Hanhoga, what we have to do, or how to go into the Ruchnius world. Where the Ruchnius world has nothing to do with the Almighty. The Almighty is Ein Sof. We don't know anything about the Almighty, and all we can do is in our eternal self is how we can follow the purpose of the Almighty to understand a little bit of the Ruchnius world. And that's another story about Kabbalah, how it works, and what does it work. So therefore, he has a triangle. You have the Bria, and you have the Borei, and man is basically part of the Bria, because he's created. But he has one part of him, which is his free choice, which has to be free in his free choice, that will link the man. Those who are sleeping, wake up, please. That the man who able to connect man to the Borei. And that is his feelings, understanding. That's the free choice of man. In the free choice of man, that connects man to the Borei. In this world of purpose, we have the world knowing the Almighty's purpose. What's the Almighty's purpose? And we understand the Almighty's purpose. At that point, you have all these rules and regulations of the Almighty's purpose, which is not, we will be called Dinei Shamayim. There's Dinei Oretz, which have to do with all the rules of the Gemara. That's down, and there's Dinei Shamayim, which is the box of purpose with Hashem and the existential aspects, what will be, and the other aspects. So you have the triangle. You have the Bria, you have the Borei, and you have the human being who has the physical rules. He's in the Bria, and then he has the extension in his free choice towards the Borei. In the Borei is to do his will, what he wants, is the concept, what he wants, what his ideas are, that he tells us about. There's no connection to the Ein Sof of the Almighty, and that's just the extension that we can do. In that part, which is totally free, which is man's choice, at that point, man has to make his value decision. In the quality of understanding the Ratzon Hashem, which is in the Borei, so then man has that free choice. What does the Borei want? At this point, I want to explain that. Really the Rambam, but it's brought down in the name of Maharil Diskin. What is the difference between Nevuas Moshe and Nevuas Shar HaNeviim? So they explained that Moshe Rabbeinu looked at it in a Spaklach Meira, and all the other Neviim looked at a Spaklach Sheina Meira. In other words, which comes out, and Rabbi Zimmerman explains it, that when Moshe Rabbeinu, when he told Moshe Rabbeinu anything was clear, a Spaklach Meira, and because on Spaklach Meira, whatever he wrote in the Torah can never be changed. A regular Navi, so it wasn't just Nevuah. That said, look, what's between me and Moshe Rabbeinu? I got Nevuah, he has Nevuah. I got the special ladder, and I, JC, Mohammed, Guru, X, Y, and Z, Marcus, whatever. I now have this extra sensory perception, and I feel, I see. I read this book over here. I understand the bria of the person. I know all about the flowers and the trees and the health. I got to come on, and I have my little mark. And everybody God is created in the world. Everybody has a place. His Chelak HaTorah. So there's my Chelak HaTorah. That's all good in the Nevuah. But since Moshe Rabbeinu was an Aspaklaria Meira, it can never be changed. Nobody has a Northern Novi does not have a Aspaklaria Meira. And therefore, when Bilam, Rabbi Zimmerman explains that when Bilam was Lokam Kamoshe, but Nevi'im, yes, it was like an Aspaklaria Meira, and that's why you find Chazal that tell you that there was like two parts of Torah. One was Torah, which Moshe Rabbeinu, and the other one was like by Bilam, it was like Matei, it was just copied it. Not that, it was like copying, and therefore became Chelek of the Torah, because of Aspaklaria Meira. That's how he explains it. So now we're up to the point where Moshe Rabbeinu, at this point, has Aspaklaria Eina Meira. When it came to his choice, that the Almighty told him, go and fight Midian, then you'll either, and then you'll go to die. At that point, Hashem gave Moshe an Aspakla Lo Meira. What happens in Aspaklaya Lo Meira? So this Rabbi Biskin explains. אף שהמחזות הנבואה בעולמו של יונים הם, אף וכן המחזה יורד לאט לאט ומתגמשת עד שהפתרון נמצא בהשגחה בהסוגס הנביא. ומבין אל מה ירמוז בעולם השופל הזה. Somehow he figures out that from what he saw it trickles down a little bit, lo mira what Hashem wants. וממשיך שם בכל ציור הנבואה מתרשמים בנפש נביא ואינו ציור חוץ לנפש. It's only a thing inside the nefesh itself of what Hashem wants. והנביא מסתכל בנפשו ידי הפתרון. וכן ההסתכלות הנביא בנפשו דומה לאדם העמד בדרך הזכוכת. שאם יהיה צבוע זכוכת ירוק כל מה שבדרכי יהיה צבע ירוק. ואם צבע האדום כל מה שמעבד יהיה אדום. ואם תהיה הזכוכת נקייה לא יהיה צבע יראה לא ידוע כמו שהוא אף בכן שכולם רואים ומעבד באיש הדובר בעצמו. וכן הדובר בנבואה כל נפשו. נפשו זוכר ובורא רואה פתרון צח ומצוחצח. וזהו שאומר מוישה רבינו הסתכל לך. ואף על פי כן גם שהנביאים חלילה לא נסנבו שקר חס ושלום אלא מאי דאמרינא דחלום אחד משישי מנבואה בו החלום ברוב עניין ומעט אמס מורה בו עד שכוס להשיג פתרון. It says Konlach HaPitor, etc. And therefore we learn that Nevuah, even though a Navi will come and say bad, if people do tshuva, the Nevuah can change. But the Nevuah of Aspaklaria, Meira, Moshe Rabbeinu can never change. You can't add it, can't. If that's the case, then we can understand very well, which I wanted to say. That Moshe Rabbeinu, in his looking at the Aspaklaria Meira, he had the choice. And because he had Zikuk and Bir HaNefesh, through the Limud HaTorah and his understanding the Mahus of the world, he was able to get the message and understand it well. And he had a Nisayon. The Nisayon was because of Aspaklai Lo Meira. With all what he had. And therefore, the way to understand it was according to his individual being, who he was and what he was. And at that point, his Mahus of his whole being was that this what had to be. But I wanted to add another word here. It's really the Rambam in Yesodei HaTorah that I want to explain what is this is the real point. What is the function of Limud HaTorah lezakot et ha'adam, to purify the man, to be able to purify his Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah Tavlin? What does the Torah do in Zikuk of the person? So, if you learn Torah Be'iyun, what does it do? It's mezakeh the person, in the soul, in the mind, and in his whole being, that when it comes to understanding the Ratzon Hashem, A is mezakeh from his Ein Lecha Ben Chorin L'Misha Yosef, because it gives him that freedom. B is he's able to mezakeh against his I, his individual, the Yetzer, which means, translated means the chomer of his being, his I, his desires. He's able to mezakeh if he learns Torah B'iyun and does it right. Becomes like a new bria in what he is, and he's also able to translate the understanding of Ratzon Hashem in a much clearer and better way. On that basis, I always said that the methods that we do in learning Gemara, that we go Be'iyun, and we get involved in all the details and all its functions to it, we spell out what it's about and weigh each part, which takes time. That Zikuk HaNefesh, that Zikuk works to change the person in his Mahus, to be able to control himself better, and the search of emes to the higher degree of how he has to go. And it will come out that when he sees what's happening in the world and the derech Hashem, the hashgacha pratis that Hashem has for Am Yisrael, which is the Kedushas Yisrael, he's able to see it in a much clearer, definitive way, with less ego, and he's able to, at this point, if he's searching for Yirat Shamayim, depending on what's his soul, you don't know. You have the learning, and you have the Evan Shloimeh says the guy learns well and this, but his Yesod, he doesn't have Musa. Then the Yesod is who knows what. So you have Megadol, a monster. But assuming the Yirat Shamayim and the Avas Hashem that should be in it should produce this quality of understanding of Avas Yisrael to that degree. And therefore, when it came to Kamsa Bar Kamsa, the Taina was against the Chacham. How could you have sat there? Part of it also. There was the demand for their zikuk of understanding that every detail should have been weighed more and better. And according to the Chazal, if you read the Gemara, they didn't recognize the outcome, which means in logic, they did not logically see or feel the outcome, what could be with this guy, Bar Kamsa, what he could do. They didn't spell it out to the logical end and push to the end of the truth of understanding this. They took it only shitchi up to a certain point. And it was missing in the Talmud Chacham aspect of the Zikuk HaNefesh that they had. They were called Tamiri Chachamim, but somehow their Zikuk HaNefesh did not apply in this place of going to the logical end of Royas HaNeu, this guy could have been. Had they saw the Royas HaNeu, of course they would have changed. But the Taina was in the Zikuk HaTorah of their Nefesh, what was the Taina, why did they see the Neu? It means that Taina, on Talmidach, learning Yeshiva, to push harder and harder in a logical way to see the outcomes of possibilities, what's happening, not just shitful. And this is the Chisaron of Kurban, and which makes missing Avas Yisrael, not like people think, of the Atzio, of the Rachov, of the street. Hashem should give us the strength to learn the Torah Be'ilun with the methods we have and the way we have to make a tikkun for the Zikuk Halev that we need in Torah to know the Ratzon Hashem and see the logical aspects of the story in order to act properly and have the Avos Yisrael with all the proper feelings of the Musar aspect and the understanding aspect and bring it into the world. Rabbi,